Welcome, Holualoa parents. I'm Karen Gibson. I'm a parent coach, and I was so excited and pleased at the attendance and how passionate and caring you parents are. Holualoa is an amazing school, beautiful campus, and so I was told to just give you a short summary of the how to navigate the digital world presentation that I did this past Friday. But first, let me tell you a little about myself. I'm an author. I wrote Mama's Gotta Let Go, How to Let Go Without Losing Your Sanity. I also wrote 100 Parenting Tips inspired by the pandemic. And then recently in 2022, I was one of 30 authors globally who wrote a chapter in The Power to Rise Above. It's a very personal story about the gift of my failed suicide attempt. So just knowing that, I want you to know that I've had a lot of experience working with children from all types of mental health backgrounds. I worked at Holualoa for a couple of years, and the children there were residential patients. And it is a tough world that our children live in with a lot of stresses. I myself am a mother of two adult daughters, ages 22 and soon to be 28. So I've made many mistakes. And as a parent coach, I've learned a lot, especially as an educator. I started a tutoring business called Brain Builders. And in 1999, I decided to leave the special education field. I was a special education teacher for the state of Hawaii Department of Education, taught at Campbell High School, Kaleopulu Elementary School, as well as Kahimohala. And I decided I wanted to do more one-to-one. Sometimes I do siblings as a group, but I also started a parent and family coaching business, and that was started in 2020, a month before the pandemic. So with my experiences being on KHON as the parent coach, giving some parenting tips and strategies on a variety of topics, I've been on different podcasts. And if you want to check out my podcast, it's called Letting Go with Aloha on Spotify. I interviewed over 100 guests, all asking about various parenting topics and how we can have a positive impact on our children. All those 100 plus videos are on my YouTube channel. They're slowly being transferred to Spotify. But the reason why that you're watching this video is because you want to know how to navigate this roller coaster journey or world. It does seem like a different world, right? The digital world. So I have some questions that I asked the parents that attended. How many of you worry about your child becoming a victim of cyberbullying? I had a fourth grader who received a text saying that he wasn't worthy of being a friend. Some of these are just meant to hurt out of anger. You have to keep in mind that children do not know how to manage their emotions. So when they're upset, and you see this in your kids, right? The rolled eyes or maybe the sassy remarks, they don't mean to purposefully disrespect you, but they don't know how to handle big feelings. So in the world of electronics, social media, texting through phone, your children may be the victim of cyberbullying. In a little while, I'll explain more on that topic. But do you also fear that your children may be watching inappropriate content? I have a lot of students who are young, 5, 6, 7-year-olds, and they believe that it's fake. But studies show that Mortal Kombat, Grand Theft Auto, there are a lot of violent video games, like Call of Duty, and everything your child watches, what he plays, what he hears, right, does impact their brain growth. So I always teach parents to teach their kids. It's not a punishment to prevent them or let them know that you are not able to play these. There's a mature age level. They should not be allowed to play mature audience videos, watch, play games, even watch their older siblings, uncles, aunts, grandparents, parents of friends who, they might have older siblings playing the game and your child just happens to be there. It really has to do with nurturing and making sure that their brain is not exposed to content they are not ready for, right? And it does impact brain growth. So just remember to be aware of what your children are watching. The next question that many of you guys raised your hands during the presentation is, are you worried that the digital world addiction can prevent your children from having confident, courageous, and just face-to-face interaction? Because many young adults and children are safe behind a screen. I'm doing this video, privacy of my home, and it's more comfortable, right? We are comfortable doing, you might not like it, when you have, I don't know how many of you do Zoom meetings, or in one time or another, you might have to do a virtual conference meeting, or maybe a social interaction. But children need to learn how to have face-to-face interaction, and what better way than to practice, right? So if you have kids, as you guys usually, I think it's age 5 to 10 right now, but when you approach the preteen and the teenage years, I'm here to prepare you for life after 5th grade. So you are just entering the digital world. When and if you folks decide to give your teenagers cell phone access, or they might be using their friends' cell phones, just know that it is really important to practice face-to-face interactions. I was very happy to hear that not one child in the room that I was presenting allowed their child to have a cell phone. On Oahu, I think every single one of my students, age 5 through 16, 5-year-olds sometimes have 2 cell phones, because the grandma will give, their old phone when they get a new one, and then you have an uncle, you can have a parent. But it's amazing how many digital gadgets between the iPad, the gaming devices, right, the cell phones. It's very, very easily accessible. The biggest challenge I think a lot of parents have is, do my children have the discipline to stop being controlled by the digital world and do their homework, their chores, their responsibilities? And we will be talking more about how you gain control and what to do when they are so addicted and they're upset if they're not allowed to play in the digital world. So at this point, I did a deep breathing exercise, which I encourage you all to do sometime during your day. I want you to close your eyes and then deep breathe. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and exhale very slowly, like you're blowing through a straw. Do that 3 times. I invite you to do that exercise with your kids after a bath, before dinner, before homework time, in the beginning of their day as you're going to school. reset their brain, have their brain primed to just relax and be open-minded, right? So the first one, set time limits. This one is so important. I have some parents who say no electronics during the school days. I have some parents who say after your homework, you're allowed to play X number of minutes. I have some parents who say, all electronics on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or holidays too, must be turned off at, and you give a time where they need to turn off their devices, even though they might be in the middle of a very important video game. Give consequences if rules are broken. I have one parent, 24 hours of no electronics if the rules are broken. So that's just some ideas about setting time limits. The second one is play to connect and understand. I had a mother and she asked her second grader, hey, can you teach me how to play that? And her son's eyes lit up. Really, Mom? Yeah, let's play together. It was an opportunity for them to connect, for the child to actually communicate the instructions and have the mother understand what her child was playing. What does the digital world look like? And if you don't play, you won't know, right? I asked my teenagers, what is the appeal for the video games? I'm like, Miss Karen, you have no idea. We learn how to strategize. We learn how to play effectively as a team, and the immense pride and excitement, it's like they're on cloud 9 when they win the mission, when they reach first place. So if we understand why your child loves video games, loves electronics, you might be able to empathize a little bit, but just make sure that there is balance. That's like the main thing, right? And the next area that I covered was establish open communication. So I reminded parents that it is so important to connect by listening more than lecturing. This is a hard one. When they misbehave, we're so quick to reprimand, to make sure that they understand what they did wrong and to administer a consequence, right? But when we ask, I understand that you're not in a good mood. What's been going on? They will tell you, I'm so upset that. And then the next question, right, is like, so what kind of game, what are you interested in now? Oh, Mom, there's a cool game called this and this and this. Why is it cool? Because you get to and really listen with interest. Give them eye contact. Ask follow-up questions. When children feel heard, understood, and validated, you will have more cooperation and less conflict, which most parents crave, right? We crave peace, cooperation, and definitely less conflict, less moodiness, right? So when you play and ask questions, you are connecting with your children and you're spending quality time, which can be a valued love language for children to feel like, wow, I'm important. My parents want to spend time with me. And if it's to play in the digital world, they will be happy. Last one, well, there's a few more. Parental controls. I did a search on parental controls, and I encourage you to do like top 10 parental control apps. And most of them have a monthly fee. I think a lot of them was under $10. But what they do is set time limits, block inappropriate content, and even give you cyber bullying alerts. They did not have this when my 22 and 28-year-old daughters were younger. I think their whole thing was the Game Boy, playing like the puppy game, the cooking game. But nowadays with Wi-Fi and easy access, They can do it on a phone, on gaming devices, on a laptop. So it is much more important to make sure the parental control apps are on every device that your child plays. Or you have to do it the old-fashioned way, set a timer, make sure that they know when to turn off their phones, if they are playing with a game on the phone, or when their devices need to be turned off, and what they should not watch. YouTube for Kids is free. It is very age appropriate for elementary school kids. So if you want to search and let them know today, you can only watch YouTube for Kids. When you have TikTok, you have Snapchat, you have Instagram, you have, just so many platforms. We need to be aware and educate ourselves on what our children are watching and playing. The cyberbullying, so important. Many children feel that it is just what it is. I had a 12-year-old say, Miss Karen, that's the way the world is. No, even though the world might be, filled with children who are being mean to each other, it should be explained that no one should be shamed, no one should be treated, just being mean, and that no one should be asked to do something uncomfortable. So they are taught, kids need to be taught if cyberbullying or any bullying, in fact, is done. They are fearful that if they turn the bully in, they might have repercussions, right? They might be receiving revenge, or maybe, having worse bullying. But if you teach them, at least tell you, so you can either tell the counselor, you can tell your children like what you feel they should do so that they would not be a victim of cyberbullying. And they know that it's a crime and it needs to be reported. Last one is have a family media plan. This can be written on a piece of paper. You can laminate or put it in a plastic sheet, put it on the fridge, on the bathroom mirror, in their room, so they cannot say, oh, I didn't know we had media game rules. This is for cell phones, every gaming device, all social media, and they need to be told what are the time frames and days they can play video games. They need to be told what devices, what games can be played, and what games and shows they are unable, taboo. You are not able to play XYZ. You cannot watch. Some of these PG movies are are inappropriate, right? We've watched them and you think, oh, parental guidance suggested. Some of these are not appropriate for elementary school kids. In my eyes, everyone has a different opinion. Well, we got to keep in mind that what your kids see, hear, and just the feelings that they get when they watch affect their brain growth. Just keep that in mind. So, I wanted to share that story, this one story where a 7-year-old during a family coaching session, he tattletaled on himself. He said, guess what, Dad? When you're asleep, I took the iPad that you hid. I knew your secret place, and I played an hour of video games when you were sleeping. The dad was shocked. The child giggled. And I was glad I was there to mediate, because whenever a child is caught lying and you're the parent who is being lied to, you feel, right, disrespected. How dare you do this? But keep in mind that children are children. They want to push the envelope. Even children who appear to obey every rule, they might be tempted. They might make a mistake or two. So just keep in mind, just remember how you were when you're 5, when you were 8. And sometimes there are parents who are rascals. Remember that. And in closing, I want to share a little bit about what I do. I'm a parent coach, and I teach a 7-week program called the Positive intelligence parenting program. I talk about the 9 inner voices, and I believe that your school will also share the slideshow. If the slideshow is not on your website, you can email me at karen@lettinggowithaloha.com, or let the school know, and they, I think, will either share the slideshow or they'll let me know, and I can share the slideshow via email. But these 9 voices really steal our peace. Sometimes it is the hyperachiever, where you feel like your kids need to succeed or their worth is diminished. Or you might feel like the victim, right? Like, why is this happening to me? Why are my kids not doing what they're supposed to do? You can be that hypervigilant voice, where you're constantly worried about what might go wrong. Is my child being bullied? Are they watching inappropriate content? Are they doing their homework? Am I doing the right thing? And that is a voice that I think many of us can identify with. We also have the restless parent, who they feel that they need to have their child in so many activities to increase the chances of academic success, for future success. So they're enrolled in so many activities. They're made sure that, their schedules are packed with productivity. And I teach in 7 weeks. I have parents tell me not only did they heal their own childhood trauma and limiting beliefs. I'm not saying that I heal trauma, but a lot of this, when you understand, how your brain believes every thought, and if you're stuck in the past, how that alone can affect parenting. That's what I teach. And if you want to experience just one session and find out what it's all about, you can either call me. It's 808-306-5374. I'm sure the school will add this to the video. 808-306-5374. You can reach me on my website. Very easy to remember. Letting Go with Aloha. Once again, Letting Go with Aloha. My name is Karen Gibson, and I just thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. But I don't want to end before telling you that each of you have super parenting powers. And in my 7-week program, I teach you the 5 superpowers. I'll just introduce a couple of them. You learn how to be an explorer, so that you explore with curiosity instead of with frustration, with anger, with like sometimes we feel hopeless, right? But when you put that explorer hat on, you learn. Another superpower, might not seem like a superpower, but when we empathize with our children, we really learn how to put ourselves in their shoes. All of a sudden, you remember being 8. You remember being that naughty 5-year-old or that curious rebel at 16. And just knowing that you will be able to communicate with more compassion, with more patience. Believe it or not, it is possible to have more patience. I think I used to have 0 patience. With time, experience, and just practicing, you learn that parenting does not have to be painful, that parenting can actually be peaceful, and that roller coaster journey of parenting can be not so bad and actually filled with memories. You learn how to leave a legacy, and most of all, you have less conflict, and you just start enjoying your days as a parent. So thank you very much, Holualoa Elementary School. And if you have any questions, let the school know to contact me or email me, please, Karen@lettinggowithaloha.com. Thank you very much. Mahalo.